I was going to do a very different video today, which is why I got all the crap behind me, by the way. I was going to do something with David Moyes' press conference, but it was a good idea. It didn't really work out because the press conference was awful. Not David Moyes, it's just the way it was filmed and the Zoom call and all the rest of it. I wasn't really able to use the footage. So anyway, I'll give you a little break. I want to break down what I think's happened and some really interesting points that have arisen from the game against Manchester City. But what David Moyes alluded to in his press conference was that he thought we played better in the first half, not as well in the second half. And Mikel Antonio is not sure whether he went off, whether it was cramp or whether it was hamstring. Because it's happened 2 games in a row, we're going to go and get him assessed, we're going to get him scanned, which I guess is a good thing in itself. It's a bit of a shame with these press conferences because I would love to be there as a West Ham fan. I got questions that he wasn't asked during the press conference. And I think what I would like to ask, and I'm pleased, I'm really pleased with what I saw. I'm really pleased with the result. All of us would have bitten everyone's hand off, which is a lot of hands being bitten off, if we'd said 1-1 draw against Manchester City. I mean, let's be fair, that's a pretty damn good result. They're a good team, and we're doing really well. We've got a +4 goal difference in the league at the moment. And it's not just that. I look at it, I went and had a look on a website to see if I could work out the form post-lockdown to now. And I don't know where we'd be in the league, but it'd be pretty healthy. And I think that is a better cross-section than just the recent form. But we're unbeaten in 4, we've got a +4 goal difference, and it's going really well. But what I would like to have asked him in the press conference certainly would have been about a lack of pace. Do you feel our lack of pace was a hindrance in the second half because we weren't able to counter, we weren't able to get at them? Certainly at the point where we had Sebastian Haller, Yarmolenko wide right of him, and the Fornicator wide left of him, it was really slow. It was ponderously slow. And I don't know if you remember, there was a point in that second half where Fornells was through. He got played through because he just beat the offside trap on the halfway line and he ran round. Really, I felt he was going to try and chip it over the goalkeeper, but he sort of fluffed it a little bit. But the reason he was able to break through was because they were all stood in advance of the halfway line. That's how far Man City were pressed up. I felt the reason they felt confident to press that far up against us was because we had no threat on the counter once Antonio went off. And because we had no threat on the counter, we couldn't hold the ball up. Cresswell couldn't come in and join. He couldn't play those sort of looping crosses from deep, which is crazy to think that Aaron Cresswell's become a pivotal part of our attacking game plan from the position of left centre half. But anyway, I would have liked to have asked that because I do feel a bit of pace coming off the bench would have made Man City have to stay 10 yards further back and would have given us a little bit more of a threat. We should all be delighted with that draw, make no mistake about it. But having been in the lead, having looked a threat, we were all over them at the second part of that. In the last 5-10 minutes of that second half, first half, we were all over them. Having been in that position, I think it's just a little bit frustrating where we couldn't quite keep our foot on the accelerator, so to speak. So I would like to have asked that because I do feel we're a little bit slow. I'll also look at the players that he's signed, and he doesn't seem to have purchased a flyer yet, does he? Someone that is absolutely blisteringly quick. So I wonder if that's part of his game plan, or I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he finds physical size is more of an attribute than outright pace. And who am I to argue? Because I tell you what, it's really working. It's really working well at the moment, and we're an horrible team to play against. We really are. There was a point. Do you remember in the game? There was a point where Masuaku just pushed the fella over, and well, he got away with it. But it shows a little nasty streak. And by the way, I thought he was incredibly impressive, Masuaku, in that game. To go back to the Antonio thing, I think a lot of questions were raised with the Antonio situation when he had to be substituted. And the first one was that Bowen went up and played as centre forward and Yarmolenko came on. I think initially our thoughts were, oh, Sebastian Haller is not going to be happy with this. But then the camera panned to the bench, and he was smiling. He seemed happy enough. So I can only guess that Moyes had said to him, "Look, don't worry, Teddy. I'm going to bring you on, but just give it another 10 minutes." So maybe that was it. But I did find it interesting. I also found it interesting that Bowen, he wasn't. I'm not saying Bowen can't play up front, but Bowen can't play up front for us in this system. because such a big part of the system is having outright pace and being able to hold the ball up whilst others join and get in support. And he just wasn't able to offer that. So the experiment finished pretty damn quickly. What it means for Sebastian Haller is a bit of a worry for him. I would say it's a worry for us, but it's more a worry for David Sullivan than us. Let's put it that way. Because if we're winning and we're playing well, it's not our wasted money. I mean, it's quite funny that we chased a striker for years to have a really good striker who could score goals consistently in the Premier League, and he was actually here all the time anyway, in the form and shape of Mikel Antonio. And it was the same story before when he turned Mikel Arnautovic. He's quite a player, isn't he? Marko Arnautovic, he's turned him into a striker as well. So clearly it's something that David Moyes likes to do. Clearly it's something that he sees, but I do worry for Sebastian Haller and his future at the club, and I don't think he has one, really. And I think it is a problem, an issue for David Sullivan, because while this continues to happen, then his values just plummet him. And you look at the system and you just don't see any way for him to flourish within it, basically. But you look at us and you look at our what a tough nut we are to crack. And they won't. I said this at the end of the review. Man City will be pleased they don't have to play us again anytime soon. I think Tottenham will be thinking the same. Certainly Wolves, certainly Leicester will think the same as well. And I thought we made a good fist of it against Arsenal. And when I say look back, then before that, obviously we lost the game against Arsenal. We were terrible in the game against Newcastle. But then I think before that, you have to go all the way back through lockdown, all the way back through to the very first game against Wolves. I'd suggest we've been in bloody good form for a long, long time. And a lot of credit has got to go to the manager. And I just, sometimes I look at it, I think I would like us to play this way. I would like us to do X, Y, and Z, and we don't. But that's okay, because Moyes is doing it his way, and he's got the confidence to do it his way. And he's really trying to implement a system which worked tremendously well for him at Everton. There were certain questions from the game, like the Sebastian Haller one, like the Manuel Lanzini one, and like the Ben Rama one. But Moyes, because he keeps on getting points, is now able to almost brush those off, to wipe those questions aside and say with some sort of confidence, look, don't worry about it, I know what I'm doing. And I think you do have to place a certain amount of trust in there. And I'm sure all of you were watching that game thinking, do this, do that, or do something else. But I think he's shown loyalty, and he's shown loyalty to players. If you come in and you perform and you do well for him, you're going to stay in the team. And that's what's happened with Antonio, by the way. And that's very much what's happened with Fabian Balbuena, who I know I've said it a million times already on this channel. You know what I'm going to say now, which is I was sure he was on his way out. I was absolutely positive. Now I reckon Moyes looks at him and thinks, oh yeah, you know, you've got a place under me. And I look at Aaron Cresswell as well. I think, well, he's completely reinvigorated his career by the way he's playing. And there was a point quite late in the game where the Fornals fell over. It really should have been a throw-in to Man City, but the referee gave a foul. He wasn't a bad ref, to be fair. He tried to let play proceed as much as possible. And Cresswell came up. We were able to advance up the pitch, and Cresswell was lining up to swing the ball over. Now, nothing happened, but as soon as Cresswell was lining up to cross that ball from the free kick, I thought, you know, we've got a massive threat here. And you've got to remember, by this point, we also had Yarmolenko on the pitch, who's a massive lump, and Sebastian Haller, who's also a lump on there. So we had so many players, so many six-footers on the pitch. The Man City must have just been thinking, oh, no, not this. And as much as I want the team to attack, as much as I'm looking at David Moyes and thinking, you know, come on, do something and get some pace in the team and do something else, maybe his game plan was just to keep it tight, to restrict Man City to as few chances as possible, which I felt he did, and then maybe nick something from a set play. Now, as it turned out, the goal, which is a lovely cross from Soufal there, and an even better finish from Mikel Antonio, a wonderful, wonderful finish, even though that goal came from open play, I still wonder, I think Moyes might have been pleased with that near the end, and that's why Fornals stayed on. Not because he necessarily knew he was going to win a free kick, but because he's just thinking, just keep it tight, and we'll get a corner, or we'll get a free kick. We will just get an opportunity where the game becomes dead, and I'm able to move all of my players up the field. Not dissimilar to an NFL playbook in that sense. It's almost, we have a set of tactics when the ball is out of play, and then they come in, and that's why we got this guy who's Paul Nevin, and Paul Nevin was the coach under Gareth Southgate in the World Cup. Remember when England were doing all those really, really good set play routines? Well, this is what we got. We got the guy, we got the tactical genius who works all these things out. And I reckon Moyes against these bigger teams think, if I can stay in the game, we can get something. We can go up the field, we can get a free kick, we can get a corner, and we can just cause teams absolute mayhem. It was just find it really, really interesting one, and I just find us in a weird position with having played a load of tough teams. Still got one more to go in Liverpool. But I don't know about you, I'm not crapping it about going there. I'm really not. I felt he set a little bit deeper against City. I'm sure he'll do the same against Liverpool because they've got huge pace to get in behind. But I'm pretty sure, particularly with Van Dijk out, that Moyes will be looking at it, and Moyes will be fancying his chances. Moyes will be thinking, if we can get a corner, if we can get a set play, we can probably go and do them some damage. And as a West Ham fan, I just find it quite weird. We're now 4 games unbeaten, 2 really good wins, 2 damn good draws, different draws, granted, plus goal difference. We never have plus goal difference at this point in the season. Seems like we hardly ever have plus goal difference. But I mean, it is really, really weird. And after the run of fixtures, when we all saw it at the start of the season, you're now looking at it thinking, well, this is really good. I thought we were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. There was a point I thought we may well be one of the worst teams in the league. And that was pre-lockdown, to be fair. And now I look at it and I look at, all the other teams that are down the bottom. And I think, well, actually, we ain't too bad. And I know a lot of them, but at the point of recording this, what's the time there? What is it? It's 6:45, right, on Saturday. So I don't know the other results. I've not seen likes of Sheffield United play. But if somebody had told you last season, when Pellegrini was in, and things were going really badly, and Sheffield United was sweeping all before them, that actually come next season, we'd probably be in a position to finish above them and be a better team and be more solid, you'd have taken it, right? And this is really what it's all about. We look incredibly solid. We've got a load of stuff going for us at the moment that is not particularly West Ham-like. West Hamsy. Or should we just say the West Ham way, which of course is a phrase that was coined far before Spursy, I'm quite sure. But resilience and grit and fitness and athleticism, we'll take that. And I tell you what, the added bonus is, whilst we've got all these things going in our favour, we actually do have a little bit of skill. And let's be fair, we attack quickly, and at times we play fast football, and you could tell a lie that would say, we're playing set plays and we're just playing long ball and we're heading it and all the rest of it. However, I cast your mind back to 2 goals. Michail Antonio's scissor kick and Emmanuel Lanzini's wonderful equaliser against Tottenham Hotspurs. 2 goals that will probably feature in Goal of the Month. And really, the football can't be that bad, can it?